We're going to kick off our media availabilities at New Hampshire Motor Speedway this morning with Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. Joey, you visited Victory Lane here in the fall, completing a Team Penske sweep last season. Tell us about coming back to the track and the momentum your team is building after a runner-up showing at Kentucky last weekend. Anytime you come back to a racetrack that you won at, coming off a weekend that you had a really good run at in Kentucky, the confidence is high in the team. And I think that's good. That's what momentum is. It's just confidence. And this is a racetrack that I've always loved coming to. I consider it my home racetrack. And to be able to have really two good runs here last year, running second before we got crashed, and then we come back and win the fall race. So it's a special place for me, considering I started my first Cup race here and watching my first Cup race when I was 7 here. It's just a special place to come to, and I've always enjoyed it. It's a tricky place. It took me a long time to kind of understand what it takes to go fast, but lately, last 4 or 5 times we've been here, we've had some fast cars, so ready to go. Can't wait to get on the track. All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start here with Bob.
Bob Pocker, ESPN. You go to Indianapolis next week. I think it's your first time while with Penske that you're going there after Penske has won the Indy 500, and I'm curious if
don't screw this up, huh?
I mean, did you get any sort of feel in the last couple of months what winning at Indianapolis means to Roger, maybe more than what you knew before this past May?
It means a lot, and really the Brickyard's the only race he hasn't won, and that's he really wants it, believe me. And we talk about it a lot at Team Penske, how bad Roger wants it and what we got to do to try to win that race. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns going into that race with the rules package coming up for that. So something I haven't driven it yet, or what it's going to be like around other cars. So all we can do is prepare the best way we know how, and really expect the unexpected. Be ready for change, be ready for anything. Just like we were last week. Last week in Kentucky, there's a lot of unknowns, and it ended up putting on a great race, I thought. And when we had a very fast car, both our Team Penske cars were fast. So anytime there's a rule change, it presents a huge opportunity to take advantage of developing something quicker than the rest of the teams out there. Eventually, everyone catches up, and we all run at similar speeds. But when there's a rule change early like that, it's a heck of an opportunity to try to make something happen.
All right, we'll go to Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis Franco, Reuters. You didn't get to practice much the new package at Kentucky because of the rain. Now they've scheduled 5 hours of practice. Would you rather have too little practice or too much practice?
Really, in Kentucky, we unloaded pretty good and pretty fast. I would say the car wasn't driving great, but we were pretty fast compared to field. And anytime you're faster compared to field, you don't want to practice anymore, because everyone's just going to keep catching up. Not that we won't get our car better. We will get ours better as well, but it's harder to get the last tenth, and it's hard, than it is to find the first 3 tenths. It's easier to get that. But, so we were fine with no practice. But, I think when we get to Indy, I'm sure we'll all want the practice and, understand what we got. We'll get behind other cars and see what happens and kind of get a feel for it before the race starts.
Additional questions?
Dan Gelston, Associated Press. Joey, you can have a Sharknado watch party on Wednesday?
It comes out Wednesday? It's good to know. Yeah, of course. Where are we watching it? Where are we going? I got one big line in that movie, man. You're gonna be impressed. No, I can't break it to you. I mean, you just have to watch for it. Yeah. I'm going to Hollywood.
We'll go back to Bob.
Bob Pocker, ESPN. Is there a lot of questions among drivers on what kind of aero packages we're going to have in the chase, or do you just try not to worry about where NASCAR is kind of going from here with all these aero changes?
No, obviously it's a point of concern because we want to know as soon as we can. But as hard as it is to be patient, we have to be patient. We need to kind of take our time, understand what makes great racing. We're trying things right now. We're obviously trying 2 complete different packages at different types of racetracks and trying to make the best races at these racetracks and what that takes.
obviously, we talked about Kentucky, and we didn't have the full tire that we wanted. We didn't have the full package, and it was better. I felt like the actual racing was better. So I think everyone likes that. I feel like that's a great direction. Will that be what we go in for the chase? I don't know. I think we'll have to wait and see kind of how things are developed into the next few weeks. And I know they had a Chicago test this week, and I don't really know how it went, so don't ask me questions yet. But I feel like everyone's working on that. Everyone's Goodyear's trying to find the right package and the right tire to match up with this package. Darlington, they did a lot of testing with the a softer tire and a tire that had more grip, and I felt like a lot of people liked it. When they were there at the test, I wasn't there, but from what I hear, a lot of people liked it. So I think he's just trying to develop that. It's a big difference from what Goodyear's been doing. Trying to find a lot of grip and obviously have a durable tire. That's the priority one, is not have a tire that blows out. And then it's just trying to find the grip and the fall off that all of us want.
All right, we'll go to Claire, Nate, and then Jim Utter.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Can you talk about passing at this track and how difficult it is, and what makes this track so challenging, and yet why you have learned to do so well at it?
It's a difficult place to pass for sure. You get underneath somebody into these corners. There's no banking holding you, and your car usually has to be pretty free to get through the center of the corner. And when you're underneath someone, you lose the side force next to you, and you're trying to drive in there hard, and you're trying to clear them, and that's where you see most of the crashes happen is entry to center of the corner when someone's underneath them. They get loose, and then they kind of turn up the racetrack, and next thing you know, they get into each other, and that's when something happens. So it's a challenging place. You can get underneath guys and turn underneath them because you can use some of the banking and stuff and try to get there, but actually finishing off the pass is a challenging place to do it. But in the fall race, we took those 4 tires late in the race when a lot of cars didn't get any tires, and we were able to pass a lot of cars. So that's cool to see that what tires are worth, and that they're worth something here, and that you can drive through the field if your car is fast enough and it works good enough, like we had in the fall race here last year. But it's tough. It's not an easy place to get around for sure.
All right, Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Joey, I know you said don't ask you questions about the Chicago test, but
you are.
But I am.
That's like someone saying, "I don't mean to bother you, but I am."
The question doesn't necessarily relate to like what you learn, but like how do you determine what to work on if you don't know what the rules are going to be for the chase? I mean, do you have a sense? Like, did you guys say, hey, half current package, half low downforce, or try the high drag stuff as well? Did you try to split it up? Do you know, like, if you guys went there with that kind of agenda? Or
yeah, I mean, it's just hard to do that right now because we don't know. I don't think anybody knows. What we're gonna have. It could be the package we've been running all year. If things work out, it could be the new low downforce package. If things are great in Indy, who knows what happens? You think that would just stay at Indy and Michigan, but who knows? There's just so many unknowns right now that you just got to focus on the things that you do know, and some of the things are, as far as, what it takes to get around a racetrack like that, what we fought last year, and just keep focusing on, what the direction we were going, and work on parts and pieces of the car that's going to make your car faster no matter what. No matter what the aero package is, there's parts on your car that's just going to make your car faster no matter what aero package you got. So I think those are the things you got to stay focused on leading up to that. And then when the rules change, then you got to be able to just adapt real quick and make those changes that or really develop that package as quick as you can.
as long as it proves the show, do you think drivers are okay with the changes for the chase, even though it's different than the regular season? As long as the racing's better, it seems like everybody's okay with it.
I would think so. I can't speak for everyone. I feel like I'd be all right with it. As long as we did it right and we had the package developed and we had the tires that were right and we weren't rushing into anything, I think it's fine. And if we did it right now, I don't feel like it's rushing into it. I think we'd be all right. I think everyone, these teams are so good that they're able to just, a lot of times you can develop this stuff so quickly, and the simulation that a lot of these teams have these days. You think about how big of a balance changes and differences they have with these 3 different aero packages now. we unloaded in Kentucky. We weren't that bad. It's everything was completely different, and it wasn't that bad. And it's not like we were way faster in the field. There's a lot of cars that were about the same speed as us, and so that just goes to show how well everyone's developed their simulation process, and they can punch a couple aero numbers different in it and pop out still a pretty good setup, and still work on the typical things that make a race car go fast.
All right, we'll go to Jim and then the gentleman up front.
Jim Hutter, Charlotte Observer. Last year, you and Brad also won early, which seemed to, and you credited being able to do that as kind of helping you propel through the rest of the season, and you both ended up with very good years. You both won early again this season. Can you talk a little bit about any differences you see about where you guys are this year compared to last year? I have a quick follow-up.
Yeah, I feel like we're executing great. We have more top fives at this point in the season than we did last year. We have less wins though, and really we all know it's all about wins. But consistency and execution is important. So I feel like my team's very strong. We need a little bit more speed in our car. I felt like really not looking at Kentucky last week, but the races before that, we were fighting for top fives, and I feel like last year we were fighting for wins. So we just need to, find a little bit more speed. Last week in Kentucky, we had good speed. We fought for a win. We're back to where we want to be. I always joke. I said, we're back in the late model division. We're not running the street stocks anymore. This is great. So, we get, and that's what we need to have for when the chase starts. We need to have that extra speed and back to where we were to winning races to, get to Homestead and hopefully win a championship. So we got to find a little bit more speed. I feel like my team is in a great spot. I feel like last week was a good morale booster, racing for a win like that, coming to a racetrack that we've run well at before. Last 2 times we've been here, Team Penske has been great here. So I think it's all good things. We're just, just got to keep pushing forward and try to find a little bit more speed. But I feel like overall our team's in great shape, and we're catching up. We're running late models again.
And last week you heard a lot of drivers talking about, when talking about the package, about putting the outcome of races back more into drivers' hands. Coming from an organization that has one of the probably best engineering groups that there is, do you think that regardless of how much is done, there'll be a place, there's still going to be an element of engineering in these cars where that will be a benefit to have the kind of staff that you guys have?
Oh, there always will be. You put a bunch of people on watching modified practice here. You put a bunch of engineers and start working on those things a lot. You're going to develop a modified a lot better than the next guy. That's just the nature of our sport and development and technology. But we did make the cars more challenging to drive. The cars are sliding around a lot. You've seen a lot of cars just spin out. Because it's hard to drive. Cars are sideways. So I think that's cool. It puts more of the driver element into it for sure. But, there's always going to be some kind of technology and engineering into a race car, which I think is great. That's where a sport's supposed to be as well. You want a good mix of the both. You want a good mix of a driver and team and being able to work together and engineering. You want all that to mix up to be what makes the product on the racetrack. Because that's half the fun. Half the fun's talking about how to make your car better and working with your team and all that. It's not that much fun just to jump into, everyone's car's the same and you just go out there and drive. You want to be able to work on it and be able to, it's not just fun for the driver, but it's fun for the teams. They want to work on make their cars better. They take a lot of pride into that.
All right, we'll go ahead and finish up front.
Hi, Terrell Covey, Portsmouth Herald. I was just wondering where you have a win already this year. You're pretty secure in the chase. And this is a track in the first round of the chase. Does it change your approach this weekend? Do you have to, do you get to play around a little bit and see what's going to work in the fall? Or is there enough changes between now and then that you have to just kind of go straight up?
No, I think we got to really understand what makes our car good and what doesn't this weekend. Not necessarily playing around, but we need to work. I know where you're going with it. Is trying different things, but I think we have a good list of stuff we want to try here in practice coming up pretty soon to try to understand what happens. But I think the big thing is after the race, you got to take the time, and just like we do every other race, but to really dissect what happened
throughout the race, whether it's strategy or the way the race went, and really understand what was good and bad about your car and why it did that. So this is going to be an important race when we come back. This is a very important race when we come back. And, I always, like I said, I just love racing here and want to win anytime I come here, so no matter what. So we're going to try to win here like we do every single week. But we really have to put the time in afterwards, like we normally do, but to really dissect what happened throughout the whole race and make sure we take some good notes and understand what we got to do when we come back.
All right, thanks for joining us, Joey.
Thank you. See you guys.